Don't keep it all to yourself. Did you bring it just to flaunt it? You really are a piece of work. After all that, what are you going to do if weird rumors start spreading about you? I could spill it to the tabloids, you know. Mike has always been the same, never changing. Wow, long time no see. How have you been? Wow, good to see you made it. Voices of classmates can be heard from all around. It's lively and festive, but it feels like the chatter of bystanders that has nothing to do with me. I'm John, 30 years old. Today, I came to a middle school reunion. It's been a while since there was any news of one, but it seems there was a call to gather now that we've hit the big 30. Or they might have been holding reunions yearly. Maybe I just wasn't invited. That's the feeling I have. The venue is a hotel in downtown New York. While I'm not keen on meeting classmates, part of me is curious about what kind of adults they'd become. That's what I decided to come today, to put an end to that curiosity. Mike, a classmate from back then, was the organizer. The invitation came with his name on it. It was a thick card, the kind you'd think was for a wedding invitation. I saw him earlier at the reception, where he greeted me with a handshake and a friendly pat on the shoulder. Yet, his words told a different story. Got the invite, right? I sent it just to you. I'm connected with the others on social media, but you're a loner, aren't you? Not in touch with anyone. I didn't want you to get mad later for not being invited. I went through a lot of trouble, searching for your address. Even asking the teacher if there was an old roster. You should be grateful. Today's fun is all thanks to me. At that moment, I already regretted coming, but leaving would just make me seem like a sulking child, and that would be even worse. I nodded and gently patted his hand, still holding mine, as if to console him. And finally, I was free. Inside the venue, round tables were set up. There was no assigned seating, but I chose the seat farthest from the stage. It was empty, with no flowers in the center. It looked like a spare seat, but I chose it on purpose. No one would want to sit with me, nor did I want to talk to anyone. Even after I sat down, no one approached me. Yet, I could easily hear the excited conversations of those who were happy to see each other after a long time. Where do you live now? Those who ask are usually the ones who want to boast about their own place. They name-drop famous apartments and bask in the envy before modestly saying, "It's not all great, there are many challenges." This is more common among the women. For men, it's overwhelmingly about money and work. They talk about investments and business ventures while laughing, saying, "The economy's tough every year, isn't it?" Those who are truly struggling won't show up here. In the end, reunions are just a broadening contest, a showcase of life achievements. It's where those who want to show off gather. Those who were at the top of the social pyramid back then continue to make their status known. Otherwise, it's about those who climbed up from the lower ranks showing off their success stories. If you were really close and enjoyed school life together, you'd meet up without needing a reunion. Regardless of where you stood in the social hierarchy, there wouldn't be any need to one-up each other or sulk, just companionship. I just don't have such friends. I still regret that even now. Although I regret it, I also believe it's unnecessary to try to reconcile and befriend them at this point. As I watched people enjoy the buffet, these thoughts crossed my mind. After a while, Mike, the MC, took the stage to give his speech. He has always taken the lead, from group leader to class president, then club president, and finally student council president. He's done it all. That's why he's the organizer and manages contact information on social media. I don't feel the slightest bit of remorse for being excluded from that circle. I'd hate to still be under his control. The venue dimmed a bit, and the school building was projected on the screen. I bet he was all eager making this slideshow too. I felt like I could predict what was coming next. Images from our album would be displayed, causing laughter and cheers. Sports festivals, field days, school trips, group photos, individual photos. The screen would change along with an ever-ending narration. It must have been collected from everyone. There were many photos that seemed to be taken among friends. In every one of them, everyone looked happy. We spent our sensitive years from 13 to 15 together. If that continues even now, it can be said that the school organization provided good friends. But I was left out of that. I wasn't one to speak up in class, nor was I much for chatting with peers. Not that I blamed or avoided anyone. I might have been the kind of student who wouldn't be missed if absent. Mike was the one who made a point of noticing me. I wasn't good at sports. I dreaded physical education classes. Mike excelled in volleyball. So, when I made a mistake in PE class, volleyball, he'd deliberately click his tongue or hurl insults like "you're useless." Knowing I was bad at it, he'd purposely send a ball my way. After such failures, I would be blamed by my classmates, and it was even said that we lost the first game of the sports festival because of me. From then on, I became his target. When it was time to choose class representatives, Mike would always nominate me. Then someone else would nominate him, and I'd end up being the laughingstock with only his vote. There were days I had to walk around in just my socks because my indoor shoes went missing, and times when my gym clothes were found in the trash. I wasn't one to dress sloppily or neglect my assignments or homework. That made it all the more difficult to find a solution, and I felt increasingly cornered. The thought of going to school the next day terrified me, causing my heart to constrict and my body to shake. Eventually, I developed alopecia areata. My mom was the first to notice and asked what was happening at school. At first, I was too ashamed to say anything, but once I started, I couldn't stop. At that time, I had severe acne. It wouldn't heal with medication, and my dad insisted that stress was the cause and even talked to the teacher about it, but nothing improved. The teacher always had the upper hand than parents who only believed their child's words. As a teacher responsible for the students' lives at school every day, I ended up spending time in the nurse's office, attending classes sporadically. Interestingly, such an atmosphere seems to spread like an infection, creating other cliques. Bullying became rampant among the girls too. The target was Sophia. She had severe atopic dermatitis, always with a reddened face. Her skin looked painfully itchy just by looking at it. It must have varied with her condition each day. The skin around her eyes was bright red, and there were times when blood seeped from behind her ears, perhaps from scratching too much. The girls found it revolting and stayed away, claiming it was contagious upon contact and treating her as if she were a germ. The one leading this was a tall girl named Lily. She always had 2 or 3 friends around her, and there was never a moment in the classroom buzz without Lily's voice. She was the center of attention and also the instigator. Today was no different, with her shrill voice resonating about apartments and overseas trips. Mike and Lily were the central figures in the classroom. Sophia and I were relegated to the bottom, barely making our presence known at the back. I stuck to my refusal to attend school until graduation, while Sophia transferred during the summer of our 3rd year. Now that we've seen some familiar faces, let's take a look at where everyone is today. Mike said that and started passing the microphone from the front row. This turned into a session where everyone bragged about themselves. Some inherited their parents' medical practices, became teachers, bankers, traders, and Mike was working at a well-known telecommunications company. Lily mentioned she had been modeling since college. I've also considered acting, and have auditioned for a few movies. You might have seen me as a boss lady Michelle in Beauty and the Beast Club, and as Maggie in Run, YouTuber. Did you catch those? I've got to aim for a leading role next time, mentioning minor roles in lesser-known movies as if they were significant achievements, which seemed rather pitiful. I think everyone felt the same way I did. She had been sending her applications to all sorts of auditions since middle school, trying to sell herself. While her enthusiasm was understandable, her voice wasn't one I wanted to keep listening to. Her lisping and dragging speech was annoying at this age. Pointing it out wouldn't change her, I suppose. As the microphone was passed around, some girls boasted about their children. Which kindergarten, what extracurricular activities, and so on. The men talked about their jobs, influential people they met through work, overseas assignments, and company struggles. Those without such stories simply expressed happiness at the reunion. Perhaps a more genuine sentiment. Mike facilitated the passing of the microphone. I planned to pass the mic without saying anything when it came to me, but as it reached me, Mike suddenly raised his voice with the mic in hand. And now, for our special guest of the day, he swung his arm towards the back door as if the singer was concluding their final song, and the heavy door beside my seat opened. In came Mr. Thompson, our homeroom teacher. His appearance sparked excitement, but I felt a growing sense of detachment observing their warm interactions. This was a complete surprise, as it seemed no one was informed. The room buzzed with excitement. But the more I saw their surprised and smiling faces exchanging greetings, the colder I felt. Was Mr. Thompson about our age back then? Now, he's become a middle-aged man. His hairline receded, and his belly protruded. He used to coach the boys' volleyball team. A guardian figure for Mike. Since his arrival, Mr. Thompson was often speaking loudly and frequently slapping backs or giving nudges. I've heard that his lack of manners, attributed to his youth, made him unpopular in the staff room. However, his coaching had led the volleyball team to significant achievements, a point of pride for him. It seems that hasn't changed much. When Mike moved to the front with him and handed him the mic, Mr. Thompson went up on stage and began to speak. Thanks for inviting me today. I was surprised when Mike contacted me. You guys are almost 30 now, right? That's double the age from back then. I've gotten older too. I was peeking at the slideshow from behind that door, and seeing it makes you look grown up. But really, nothing has changed. You were a noisy bunch back then, and you still are. Lily, were you born talking? Oh, stop it, Mr. Thompson. Yes, Lily was always like this, catching Mr. Thompson's attention even during class. The attention from a teacher like Mr. Thompson might have been a source of pride for Lily. The moment I realized I felt entirely different about receiving the same attention. Hey, John. Mr. Thompson's voice and gaze shot towards me. Back in the day, you were always at the back of the classroom, barely noticeable. So, have you gotten your act together? I had my share of troubles with your parents complaining to me. You caused them grief by saying you wouldn't go to high school. But showing up here means you've become a respectable member of society, right? In contrast, Mike has always been good at leading others. I never thought he'd drag me into this. Anyway, make the most of your time and let your 30s bloom even more than before. It's like the start of your life is just beginning. After the applause, it was time for a fun quiz about our alma mater and beloved teacher. Mr. Thompson was the host, with Lily as his assistant. Holding the true or false cards we received at the reception, we answered the questions posed. With prizes on the line, everyone was quite serious. Don't talk to your neighbor. I'll penalize you. Mr. Thompson, enjoying a beer, seemed to be having a good time too. Since I didn't receive a card at the reception, I sat silently watching until Mike approached me. He started talking to me. Enjoying yourself? Sitting all alone here, as gloomy as ever. Listen, a reunion is a place for reconnection and new encounters. Even if you weren't cool back then, having skills can change how women see you. It's a perfect opportunity, but with that attitude, no one will come near you. What are you doing now? A part-time job? Mike began. No, I'm working at a company. Oh, so you have a decent job. I thought it'd be troublesome to ask about recent updates, so I spared you from the mic. What's this company? Something you started? No, it's not. I see. If you ever have trouble finding a job, let me know. I'm always here to talk. My business has endless possibilities. That's okay. I like my current company. Well, I guess business isn't for you. But with that attitude, you'll always be just an employee. Unless you make a lot of money and flash around a fancy apartment with your personality, you'll stay poor and never even think about marriage or love. Quietly, a side door opened, and a woman entered. She was tall and elegant. Mike hurriedly stood up. Is this the reunion for Blue Belgianeer High? Yes, that's why I'm here. But the guest list. John, sorry to keep you waiting. Seeing her wave at me, Mike said, Oh, are you with him? Mike, right. Don't you remember me? I guess it's no surprise if you don't. Yeah. Her voice was hard to hear over the noisy crowd. Leaning in, I said to Mike, who was staring at her. You can forget her, right? Weren't those your chosen photos in the slideshow earlier? Mike's face turned to shock. There was one photo of me in the slideshow. It was a photo with Sophia. Taken from the back of the classroom. It's unclear who snapped it. It was likely during self-study time. The photo seemed to be secretly taken through the gaps between other students. Sophia's face was reddened with rashes, and I had combed my hair to the side and used mousse to cover my alopecia. Mike went out of his way to showcase such a photo of the two of us in the reunion slideshow. I thought he was truly spiteful. I would never consult with someone like you, no matter what happens in life. Cut it be. I'm Sophia. Mike's eyes widened in shock. You weren't invited, were you? But since we were classmates, I contacted him. We don't need a table. We're fine here. Wait a minute. Mike walked up front and snatched the microphone from Lily. Everyone, our special guest for today has arrived, actress Sarah. Rushing back, he tried to lead Sophia to the front. Ignoring her wish to stay, he forcefully pulled her forward. The loudest cheer of the day erupted, and everyone stood up. Probably no one realized that the Sophia they knew and actress Sarah were the same person. But the applause was for the actress's arrival. I didn't realize. I've seen all her movies, but I had no idea that Sarah was Sophia. Thank you so much for coming. You must be busy, right? I saw on the news yesterday that you're filming a new project. Mike was stuttering, his face flushed with excitement. Sophia seemed a bit taken aback by his enthusiasm. Please, go ahead and speak as much as you like. Wow, it's an honor to have you visit us. But weren't you in the middle of a game? Oh, that's nothing important. We were just killing time, right, teacher? Absolutely. But why would a successful actress come here? She was mentioned in the slideshow earlier. No, maybe everyone doesn't remember. She transferred schools. I didn't have her address, so I couldn't invite her. John told me about it. Oh, is that so? You know each other? Well, yes, we were classmates. Right. You transferred during our third year, didn't you? How have you been since? You seemed quite frail back then. Mr. Thompson is speaking to Lily, who's sulking after having the microphone taken from her. He probably doesn't remember. He tended to pay attention only to the students who were assertive and stood out. Finally, Mike passed the microphone. Sophia, dressed simply in a knit and skirt, stood out as more elegant than the overly dressed-up girls. She truly looked the part of a professional. Her skin and hair had a different glow. Hello, I'm Sophia. I'm now working as an actress under the name Sarah. I joined you today on a whim. I didn't expect many of you to remember me, but my middle school years were largely spent here. I've recently taken on a role as a school teacher and wanted to revisit the atmosphere of those days. I'd rather forget my own time here. With severe eczema and a miserable personal life, including my family's financial struggles and a poor relationship with my parents. I understand if you have a bad impression of me. I don't have many fond memories of school myself, but those times led to who I am today, so I don't want to erase them. I transferred schools due to my parents' circumstances and moved during the summer, so I couldn't say goodbye. It's been on my mind ever since. Thank you for everything back then, although it may be difficult to meet again. I look forward to your continued support." Applause and cheers followed her speech. "Please continue without me. I'll just watch from the back." "No, wait, everyone must have questions, right?" As Mike hastily stopped her, the cheers grew louder. After setting up 2 chairs on the stage, he announced, "Let's have a Q&A session with our esteemed classmate, Sarah. Raise your hand if you have a question. Lily, bring her something to drink." People scrambled to move chairs and tables for a better view and to take pictures. Some are setting up side tables, others are recording. It's like a press conference or a talk show. Mr. Thompson watched from the front, and Lily, sulking after being snatched the microphone, brought over 2 juices before heading off to the buffet to load up her plate. Sophia was bombarded with questions about her acting career and celebrity friendships. Lily sat down next to me with a plate of food. "What's this all of a sudden? When did you two get so close to share reunion details? Did you not want her to come? It's not that, but when did she enter showbiz? She must have been in it for a while now, right? If you're that curious, why not ask her yourself instead of sitting here?" At my words, Lily said, "Humph," and started eating alone, making a face as if she had no interest. "Aren't you going to eat, John?" "No, I have somewhere to go." "Huh? Why did you come to the reunion then? Someone you wanted to see?" "No, just curious about what reunions are like. They are more boring than you'd think, huh?" Despite the lively atmosphere earlier, I almost burst out laughing at her comment. All they talk about is how hard it is to take out the trash from the 30th floor, or how their husbands' corporate dinners involve spouses too. It's all so domestic. It's not like they are just housewives. It's dull. And yet, the celebrity she aspired to be was right there, turning her back to eat in such a situation. So, she felt upstaged and was downcast. That's right, she's only had minor roles twice. Too embarrassed to mention it, I suppose. In my mind, I kept unleashing all I wanted to say to Lily. Sophia, after transferring, was scouted on the street several times but initially declined. However, she reluctantly accompanied a friend and ended up winning an audition. Roles opposite popular idols, commercials with famous composers, lead roles in dramas, collaborations with young actors. Her career took off rapidly, and she continued to be a prominent figure. But no one realized she was our classmate, Sophia. She had changed that much. Hey, hasn't she had plastic surgery? That's why she looks so different. Lily, looking confident, turned to me, and I firmly responded, "Isn't that more about you? You came to school with a swollen nose at the start of a new term. Sophia still has a sharp nose." Before I finished speaking, Lily stood up with her plate in hand. Lily had nose surgery in middle school. It was obvious to everyone with her unnaturally swollen nose. She was supposed to transform during spring break, but the swelling didn't subside afterward. Unable to miss the new term, she attended school regardless. During spring break, she went to Mexico for aftercare, which became a topic of discussion in our class. And yet, she had the nerve to say such things to others. Had she forgotten about her own cosmetic procedures? I was astounded. "I'm sorry, but I have to go now. I'm running out of time. It was nice to see everyone. I wish I could have enjoyed my school days more, but it was mostly regrettable. However, seeing familiar faces today made me happy. I hope for your continued support." After Sophia concluded, she took a few commemorative photos and descended amidst applause. "Sorry for the wait. You must be hungry. Let's go," she said softly, with a chuckle. We stood up and left through the door together. Mike chased after us. Where are you two going? You're in a hurry because you have plans. John, why have you been in touch all this time? Why didn't you tell me? See you later. Enjoy the reunion, I said, leaving Mike fumbling for his business card in his jacket pocket as we entered the elevator. Through the closing doors, I saw Mike stamping his feet in frustration. Inside the elevator, Sophia smiled contentedly. Back then, Sophia suffered from her parents' neglect. Her home was a mess, with nothing to eat. Her father couldn't quit drinking, and her mother was overwhelmed by his debts. One day, her mother, claiming to have overnight work, never returned. Let's sort out the debts and leave this house together, her mother used to say like a mantra, yet, despite this, she left Sophia behind. Living with her foul-mouthed, drunk father, Sophia's skin condition worsened. Yet no one would pay for her treatment. In the dead of winter, their gas was cut off. They couldn't bathe properly and had to use an electric kettle for warmth. Unable to pay for school meals, her father told her not to eat. She reluctantly lied about her eczema, saying she couldn't eat the same menu as everyone else. Mr. Thompson didn't pay much attention. The school nurse invited her to eat in the infirmary, but she was too modest to go. During lunchtime, Sophia would disappear, and no one seemed to care. My father is a dermatologist. He's the one who treated my alopecia areata. At that time, I described a condition of Sophia's skin and asked if he could prescribe some medicine. My dad said he couldn't prescribe any medication without seeing the condition first. After some hesitation, I finally approached Sophia. I told her there would be no charge for the treatment. Perhaps that's why she finally agreed. Initially, Sophia was silent. She must have been worried about being exposed at school and now having to show her condition to a doctor as well. She probably didn't want to be questioned either. Indeed, my father was surprised to see Sophia's condition. It wasn't just the skin. Her dirty uniform and emaciated appearance made it clear this was no minor issue. He considered reporting it to Child Protective Services, but Sophia was against it. She wanted to wait for her mom and didn't want to go to a facility. For the time being, to avoid worsening the situation, we tucked Sophia in to stay with us. Seeing Sophia and me being ostracized at school, my parents couldn't remain indifferent. It was during the summer vacation of our third year in middle school. My mom was a hairdresser, and my sister was already working as an esthetician at that time. There was an apartment above the beauty salon where my sister lived, and she let us stay there. Sophia was taken to a clean room with air conditioning and couldn't stop crying in front of my mom and sister. Thanks to my father's treatment and a change of environment, her skin gradually improved. We contacted Sophia's father to let him know we wanted to focus on her treatment, but he showed no interest except to insist that we not ask for money. My mom tidied up and trimmed Sophia's hair, while my sister gave her some of her own clothes to wear. Sophia originally had cool-looking eyes, more beautiful than pretty. Seeing her skin gradually improve also gave me a sense of satisfaction. My father, the son of a surgeon, chose dermatology against opposition. My mother fulfilled her childhood dream of becoming a hairdresser. Because of such parents, I was never forced into a specific path. They said it was okay not to go to school if it was causing me stress to the point of losing my hair, so I stopped even going to the nurse's office around that time. There was talk of transferring schools, but I hated the idea of entering a new environment with my condition. I fell behind in my studies, but a tutor my dad arranged for came to our house. Sophia studied with me as well. On days off, my sister would take us to the library or movies, and sometimes we served as practice models for her aesthetic training. At the end of the summer, Sophia's mom returned from a resort. Even with me there, she deeply thanked my parents. She had come into some money and decided to leave her husband and start new with her daughter. Tired of a life pursued by debt and having prioritized earning over child-rearing, she confessed to sacrificing Sophia and cried. Thanks to our help, she was able to settle her debts and make a fresh start. Sophia's mom found a job in a different district to avoid her ex-husband and rented a room there. Sophia had to change schools and moved away. My dad made her promise to come back anytime if needed, and my mom got her to promise to visit the salon at least once a month. My sister, who saw Sophia as a younger sibling, was sad to see her go. After starting high school, Sophia was scouted on the street twice but declined due to her distrust of adults. However, a friend who was with her was keen, and they ended up applying for an audition together, which led to new opportunities. The friend who applied with her is now her manager. I didn't go to high school. Tired of school and classmates, my mom took me to the salon to do odd jobs. Sweeping after cuts, folding towels, handling the cash register. She probably wanted to avoid me shutting myself in. I'm grateful for that to this day, and working alongside my mom, I grew interested in beauty, which helped my condition improve. I enrolled in high school a year late, because I needed a high school diploma to attend beauty school. Since I had a clear goal, I was able to move forward. I used to shampoo my mom and sister's hair, and even cut Sophia's hair. After working as a hairdresser for 5 years, I switched careers and now work as a beauty products distributor. I have no regrets about my current life. Until we got here, we always encouraged each other. During Sophia's debut, we were very careful to avoid scandals, but we still maintain a family-like relationship with her. My sister's aesthetic salon employs Sophia as an exclusive model, and through her introduction, both my dad and mom now have celebrity patients and clients. Looking back, it seems like a dream come true. That evening, I received a call from Mike. Hey, are you having her all to yourself? Did you bring her just to show off? You're really mean-spirited. After all that, what if some weird rumors about you start circulating? Like she dished the reunion for a guy, planning to snitch. Why would I? I'm just saying, be careful not to let that happen. Anyway, I want to meet her too. I'm currently into this health food online business, and it would really help if she could support it. She said she doesn't like that kind of stuff. What? Acting all-knowing. I could spill this to the tabloids, you know. That's just like you, only thinking about yourself, same as always. What's that supposed to mean? Check her social media. She wrote that she had a great time. Yet, if you peddle scandals, you might never be treated as a classmate again. Considering our past, it's a miracle she even attended today. Mike fell silent, and I hung up. The movie Sophia is about to shoot is about a young female teacher set in a middle school. She was asked by the director about her middle school life and shared everything. Despite it being a dark past, she hoped revealing it would inspire children in similar situations. Sophia is actually involved in charity work for underprivileged children, and the movie project started from there. They decided to base the story on real events, even including a child actor modeled after Sophia as a student. While addressing discrimination based on appearance and environment, the movie is meant to be enjoyable and lighthearted. She said she wouldn't have accepted the role if it was too serious, as it would be too painful for her. In the end, the protagonist, a female teacher, goes to a reunion, resolves old grievances, and settles past entanglements. The idea of attending the reunion came up while preparing for the role, and she expressed her desire to go. Of course, it wasn't just for the role. Sophia also had a desire for revenge. By boldly revealing her miserable past and showing how she overcame it, she was saving herself. If anyone remembered the past, she didn't want to be remembered as she was. She never wanted others to expose how things used to be. I think the reunion, where she could reveal herself and show where she is now, was a good opportunity. Sophia's filming progressed smoothly, and before the movie's kickoff, she announced our engagement through social media. The post mentioned how meaningful this movie was to her, as it reflected her past self, supported by her fiancé and his family. I wasn't in the spotlight, but received many warm congratulations. The completed movie featured names that were clear nods to our past, with characters like the homeroom teacher Mr. Thompson, the class president Michael, who was good at handball, and the queen bee Libby. But no one could complain, because there wasn't a single lie. In interviews and stage greetings, Sophia consistently expressed her wish for everyone to enjoy their student life. Even after escaping a tough environment, the dark past lingers in one's heart. Both Sophia and I carry such scars, but we're saying it's time to stop dwelling on the past and harboring resentment. Never forgetting to be grateful to people, we'll focus solely on our future. Because building a better life is the only way to heal the wounds of the heart.